The MLB regular season is now over, and the Yankees have finished their season off, and they are looking ahead to the playoffs. However, we'll do a little bit of looking ahead to the playoffs later, but main thing first, we do want to cover some of the highs moments for the Yankees during the regular season, maybe some of the lows, maybe we'll go there a little bit. But no, mostly have the highs, some of the big moments of the Yankee season. Then we'll get to our little bit of a playoff look ahead before the wild card round starts. We're very excited. We're gonna get straight into this. My name is Derek. I'm here with John. You're watching Bleach Brawls, and let's get straight into it. Obviously, it's been a great season for the Yankees. I don't think you can say that they haven't had a great season. I mean, they won the American League East, and they have a bye in the first round of the playoffs. They don't have to play in the wild card round. So first things first, John, just an overview of the season. How are you feeling about the regular season? Obviously, it doesn't regular season, who cares if you don't win a World Series, but we are at that point yet. We haven't even started the playoffs. So how are you feeling about the regular season?
Regular season was really interesting. There was a lot of highs, especially beginning of the season, like April, May, June. Late April, May, and then especially June. Yankees were just on a tear. I mean, winning every night it seemed. They lose one, win 8 in a row, lose one, win 8 in a row again. I mean, it was just a great start to the season. July things got a little shaky, and then obviously like things got really bad in August. I did say though, just relax. The season's not won in August. Like the Yankees just need to get healthy and be ready to go for September and October. And that kind of looks like what's happening now. They really started to play better as September went on. Everyone's health, well, just about everybody's healthy. Severino's back pitching well, so you see a little bit of starting pitching depth. It looks like Matt Carpenter is going to be back for the ALDS. I mean, that's what it's looking like. We can get into that more later, is whether or not it's good to bring in a guy coming off an injury right into the playoffs. But all in all, it was a really, really fun season. And the expectations for, I think, non-Yankee fans aren't really high for the Yankees. But I think for Yankees fans, we do have hope. We see a path at least to the World Series. There's some dominant teams in the National League. That's a whole nother story, but you got to get to the World Series first. And there does seem to be a path for the Yankees. It's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, like since back in June, I remember when obviously Yankees they're on the high now, but I said, it's great that they're hot and all, but the big thing out of them being hot was you've given yourself some breathing room. So if you do hit a rough patch or injuries come, you've got such a lead where, it's going to take a really, really bad rough patch and someone getting, ridiculously hot to catch you. And, the Yankees, yeah, they had their rough patch, had their injuries, whatever. They still finished, won the division somewhat easily. It wasn't really like super tight thing. It got a little tight, in like the beginning of September, but it was never like only a 1 or 2 game lead. Never came down to the final couple days. It was kind of a okay. Well, Yankees they had the cold streak, but they're kind of turning it around now, and they're not going to lose the division. As soon as people started thinking the Yankees aren't going to win the division, they came around and just kind of turned right back on that right direction and finished out the year pretty strong compared to what their cold points were.
Yeah, definitely. And then you're talking about the other high points of the season, right? The Aaron Judge, just the tremendous MVP season he had, where, breaking the American League home run record, really making a good run at the Triple Crown, and just leading in like a dozen offensive categories, maybe even more. Like he was the best hitter in baseball. It was a historic season. It was so much fun. The last couple weeks with the slowed down home run chase, where other than Michael Wacha, I don't want to say pitchers were pitching around Aaron Judge. A lot of those pitches were close. I think they were just pitching smartly to Aaron Judge and just trying to get him to chase, and he didn't. There's a reason why his on-base percentage was 500, over that span. There's a lot of close calls. But it was a lot of fun watching Aaron Judge this season. But the last couple of weeks waiting for that, once he gets to 60, 61, finally 62, it was a wait. and it was pretty taxing on us Yankee fans. But we did it, us and Aaron Judge. We hit 62 home runs together.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like Yankees fans are like, "Come on, do it," and I think some other like Red Sox fans, even like myself, are like, "Come on, just do it." So Roger Maris Jr. will shut up. Like, it's almost like all of us wanted him to do it. We just had different reasons for it, right? Like Yankees fans wanted to see it. Obviously, I'm not against. I like, yeah, seeing him break history was great and amazing. But I'm also there like, Roger Maris Jr. can go back to whatever he's doing at the same time. like
It's tough. I feel
I understand it, and I totally understand it, but at the same time I'm like, cool, but like, have you ever picked up a bat and played? Like, no, your dad's just Roger Maris, so cool. I mean, cool for you, but but I think overall the big picture, Aaron Judge, it's amazing to see history broken. And it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters what team it comes from, because at the end of the day, how many times are you going to see it happen? Like, from Bonds, well, even from Bonds hitting the 73 he hit, I think that's the last time anyone's gone over 61. So
right.
even just that is what, 20 years? And then now you say in just the American League, and 61 years since someone's hit 61 before. Like, that's a long time. Like, that's some people don't even live to be 61. So like that's the thing. So I think at the end of the day, it's regardless of who you root for, and it was the same thing with Albert Pujols. It shouldn't really matter who you root for. Like, if you get the chance to see history, you got to look at it and go, maybe I don't like the team or the player, whatever it is, but you have to appreciate that history that's been made.
Definitely. And I do have to defend Roger Maris Jr. because I feel for the guy. No, for real. Like,
Yeah.
that family has to feel played after 1998, where they brought them out there and it was like this whole honor. And they're like, oh, we're so honored that we're breaking your dad's record. And those players were juiced. And Major League Baseball knew it, but they kind of used the Maris family for publicity to save baseball during that season. I could understand them kind of having an issue with that. And Roger Maris is a beloved Yankee. His number is retired. So
Yeah.
I can see why Roger Maris Jr. wouldn't. I don't think he should have necessarily been getting national press on this one. But in New York, it did mean something to us New York fans to see him there.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with that. My only thing that was making me crazy is that it was like every single day in the media. It's like someone's like, there's always someone going like, oh, well, Bonds isn't real, but then there'd be someone, oh, Aaron Judge said, it's like, guys, can we just enjoy the guy, like, break history and like make history here? Like, like, I think that was the whole thing. It was just like the whole stick of like, history, not history. It's like, who cares? It's history regardless. Even if you take out the whole steroids for steroids, he still broke the American League record, right? And I think that's the thing too. Like, when, like, as baseball fans, we're kind of, there's like two parts of us when it comes to the whole steroid thing. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, we still saw history happen, and you could say the whole home run, whatever, but I think that was one of the big high points of the whole MLB season, not just the Yankee season. Seeing someone do something that hasn't been done in a while.
And I think to a point to that too is now, I think 60 home runs, no matter what, is just cherished. Anybody, it's like a sacred number. If you go over 60, it's important. Like, Albert Pujols isn't going to pass Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, or Barry Bonds, but going over 700 is something special, and it's a story one way or another. So I think from like just Aaron Judge going over 60, it's a story, and I think if it were to happen again, it probably will at some point. I think just anybody that chases 60 from now on, I think it's going to really mean something.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like the whole thing. It's like, the whole thing was like with the 300 batting average and how it's an achievement. Obviously, it's not the same scale achievement, but I'm using it as an example. Everyone's like 300 is an achievement, especially now 300 is an achievement, and it kind of shows you like how good of a hitter you are or whatever. You hit over 300, you're a good hitter. Not necessarily. You can hit 300 and strike out still how many times to not hit home runs. But the point is 300 is an accomplishment, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. Same thing with like hitting 60 home runs, or same thing with Pujols hitting 700, or Gerrit Cole breaking the Yankee strikeout record, which that was a record long time in sitting as well.
Yes, and that's interesting. So there's I have feelings about this. Ron Guidry was one of the first players I knew. Like when my old man was teaching me baseball, like I knew who Don Mattingly was, I knew who Dave Winfield was, I knew who Willie Randolph was, I knew who Ron Guidry was, and Dave Righetti. Okay, this list is getting long, but the point is, Guidry is one of my old man's favorite players. He'll still watch that game where he had the 18 strikeouts when it comes on Yankee Classics. My dad will still watch that game, over 40 years later now. We went to Ron Guidry Day when he got his plaque and his number retired. So seeing that record broken, I don't want to say I understand what the Mariners
It was
feel like.
bittersweet. It was a little bittersweet, right?
It's a
Because
little bit.
it's like you're almost like your childhood hero's record being broken in a sense. So it's
And
like
it's by Gerrit Cole. Yeah. Like, I mean, like he's a good pitcher, but he's not like, I don't know. He's given up a lot of home runs.
It's Kermit,
Right. It's just like I like him and I want Gerrit Cole to win a World Series and live up to that contract, but it hasn't happened yet. So it's a little hard to see Cole doing it. And a point I want to make just to really establish how good Guidry was. When Guidry set this record, it was an embarrassment if you struck out, and people were not striking out a lot. And hitters just did not strike out back then. Now hitters strike out all the time. So the fact that record got passed now, there's something to that too. Where I think when Guidry set that record, that was a really high number at the time.
Yeah. Well, one thing with I remember I was seeing Gerrit Cole could break the Yankee strikeout record. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, hold on, where did this come from? I feel like I don't know, this maybe it's just because Gerrit Cole's given up so many home runs this year. But I'm thinking this year, I'm like, Gerrit Cole hasn't had some amazing year. Like he's been good, but he hasn't been top 5 pitcher in the league like he's being paid to be. And so when I saw that, I was like, wait, what? Gerrit Cole breaking the what? Like you're telling me he didn't do this last year or something? Because he's a strikeout pitcher as well. So I'm like, hold on, he's given up all these home runs this year, and he didn't even do it last year. And tell me he's breaking. That's the one thing that shocked me the most about it. But I mean, hey, I guess if you're giving up more home runs, you get one guy, you give up a home run, then you can go strike the next guy out, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like with Cole, I mean, they think that you really said something because this 2022 season of Gerrit Cole breaking his record does not compare to 1978, Ron Guidry's 1978 season. And I think that just kind of takes away a little bit with the luster with Cole. Like Aaron Judge just had this amazing season and breaks Roger Ramirez's record.
Yeah,
and then
60 home runs is ridiculous.
Come along and do this. It's like, okay, man. Well, and he's overshadowed. It happens on the same nights. I mean, Cole really got overshadowed.
Because what was the strikeout record? But what was the number before Cole's?
It was what was it 248 or 248? 230 something.
It was something like that, around 230s, 240s, right? And I'm surprised that record though hasn't been broken already, because I remember a couple years ago it's Chris Sale is gonna have 300 strikeouts in a year, or it was Cole with Houston had a stupid amount of strikeouts one year, and I'm looking at that. I remember seeing, I was like, someone hasn't broken that. Not saying that it's striking out that many guys in season is ridiculously hard. That's a lot of strikeouts, but it's almost like you see the strikeout numbers just flying up, and you're like, okay, how has every team's strikeout record not been broken in the last 5 years? I'm being dead serious, because it's the only I know the Red Sox is 313 with Pedro. That one, I'm like, okay, that's that's okay, yeah, try beat that. But every team that's under 300, I'm like, the strikeout record hasn't been broken yet. That was the thing. That was the thing that I was surprised, because I remember, I think it was 2013, and Mike Napoli had a good year for the Red Sox, but I think he struck out almost 200 times, and that was a massive thing then. It's oh my gosh, look how much he strikes out. And now it's you have guys who strike out 200 plus times, and it's just okay, so he hits 30 home runs. I don't care.
Right. And I'm glad you actually brought that up about how that record hasn't been broken with the Yankees yet. It's because Brian Cashman is an inept idiot when it comes to judging starting pitching. This guy has not been able to bring in good starting pitching or develop good starting pitching, bring in good starting pitching, and keep good starting pitching healthy the entire time he's been running the Yankees. Those early 90s World Series teams were not built by Brian Cashman. He took them over. And since he has took them over, he has trotted out mediocre and subpar starting rotation after starting rotation. And that is why that record has never been broken, because Cole is the first guy to actually have a pretty good season and pitch all season without getting hurt. It's really, that record was not broken because Brian Cashman doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to starting pitching.
I mean, maybe Luis Severino could have broken it had he had like a full healthy year of being, Luis Severino.
That's what I'm saying, though.
But he's got to be healthy.
He couldn't keep him healthy.
Yeah, he had to be healthy. And
just
I think too, like this is like obviously like the Yankees have a great season and all, but they don't win the World Series. Like especially if I don't know, let's say the Cardinals win it and Jordan Montgomery has a good postseason, or I don't know, they don't win it and Frankie Montas just doesn't look good next year either, and the prospects they traded to the A's look good or whatever. Like people are gonna start getting on Cashman like, hey, come on, like we got to win World Series. Like, well, I know, but like even more because like obviously like we had this come up in our Bleach Ball group chat. It's like if like would you take a team who's consistently good or take 1 year of dominance? But like here's the thing: if you're not guaranteed a World Series title and that 1 year of dominance, you're gonna take as many chances as possible you have at it, because you got to figure like you'd figure, hey, we're gonna win one eventually, right? But the longer you go into that stretch of not winning one, the more doubt that starts to creep in of can we actually win one? And you see teams that are kind of almost one and done, and they win that they go dominant. Maybe they win the World Series, maybe they don't, but they don't have that doubt eventually creep in because they're not there almost winning it for so long. It's almost like the Dodgers you look at, right? They don't win in 2020, and let's say the Rays beat them, for example. Like you're looking at the Dodgers now, this great team over however many years, can't win a World Series. That's the label on them.
That would have been 90s Braves teams. They won one when they should have won probably 4 or 5.
Yeah, but if they don't win that one too, it's also you also look at them like they were a great team, but they didn't win a World Series. And the Yankees could be creepy. Obviously, they won in 09, but that's a long time ago from now, obviously. That's 13 years from now. And I understand, and I'm on the side of you should give yourself as many chances as possible to win one, but also at the end of the day, you gotta try. You gotta you need to win one, or else you're gonna be that team that you were very good over however many years, but you didn't win one. And I think the Yankees might have their best shot out of the recent years this year, especially if everyone's healthy. But that's a big thing. Not everyone's healthy for the Yankees. So obviously, now leading into the postseason, the big question is, can the Yankees go all the way? And, they could have a rough road. Maybe they get an easier road with some luck on their side. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what road you get. You have to be able to beat the best teams there are anyways. At least be prepared to anyways. But the Yankees are a little bit handicapped heading into the postseason. A guy like a Michael King, for example, is injured. He's not going to be available. Ron Marinaccio is on the injured list, won't be able to pitch for the ALDS. Frankie Montas, another guy who's currently injured. Matt Carpenter is unknown yet. Andrew Benintendi as well. So just thoughts on, what the Yankees got to do heading into this postseason. Obviously, get the guys healthy that you can get healthy, but leading into this postseason, what do you expect from the Yankees, obviously?
I truly see a path to the World Series. It's going to be a hard path. It's going to be a really hard path, but I think it's there. Both Seattle and Tampa are good teams. Or no, it's not Seattle. It's Cleveland and Tampa are really good teams, and they both match up really well against the Yankees. And then obviously the Yankees have to jump on Houston if they were to get through the ALDS series. They go up against Houston, a team we struggled with. Though this year, I really think Aaron Judge is playing. He's been playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's been playing so well under pressure. I think Aaron Judge is just going to demolish Houston pitching. If they pitch to him, I think Aaron Judge is going to demolish Houston pitching just because that's what he's done this season. It's like I think he would match up well against Houston this year. And then obviously you get into the World Series, a lot of tough NL teams. But I think that path is there. But again, everything has to break right.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think that's fair though too, right? Because it's going to be a rough path regardless. It's the playoffs.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, it's never going to be easy to win a
Yeah,
World Series. And but I do think it's there, like you mentioned, you have all these injuries. Like hopefully Marinaccio comes back, he's healthy. I'm not expecting Montas at this point. Obviously Michael King, that was a terrible loss. I think Wandy Peralta should be back in time, which is good because he's really the unsung hero of that bullpen this year. When I saw a question earlier today on Twitter about reliever of the year, actually Wandy Peralta's name came up because he was the only guy that was consistent all year long. Carpenter coming back, I don't know what to make of that. I am concerned about bringing in a guy and not getting at bats going into the postseason. Now you're going to be facing the toughest pitching of the year in your first at bats back from injury. Even DJ LeMahieu, who is just a professional hitter all around, he said he needed to get back in time and get at bats before he went to the postseason. So if DJ LeMahieu's saying that, I have to assume that stands for everybody. Matt Carpenter, I think he comes in, maybe he gets some pinch hitting. But it looks like from the reports I read today, it looks like he is probably going to be on the ALDS roster. It worries me. Back in 2019, for instance, I want to make this point. Back in 2019, Yankees finished the season against the Texas Rangers. Final kind of games at the ballpark at Arlington. I went to the one of those games, and Luke Voigt was in a slump, but he was crushing balls. Like I think he lined out like all four times he's at bat, but they were like laser beams, all four of those at bats. And I was thinking, like, this guy looks like he's about to break out of his slump. And the Yankees instead brought back Edwin Encarnacion right into the playoffs. He'd been injured, hadn't had a single regular season at bat over the last couple of weeks, and he was terrible in the playoffs. He just clearly was ice cold, was not ready to hit. I thought that was a huge mistake, and they should have played Luke Voigt instead. That's what worries me about bringing in Matt Carpenter. I don't think you take at bats away from Oswaldo Cabrera and give him to Matt Carpenter. I
no,
think that's a huge mistake. I think Carpenter, if used right, you bring him in a pinch hitting situation. Let's say you have LeCastro pinch run, goes in the outfield. Next time LeCastro comes up to bat, maybe you pinch hit Carpenter in that spot. Even if he doesn't get a hit, he might be able to draw a walk. He is a veteran hitter in that sense. And then you take him back out of the game with another, like whoever else is Marwin Gonzalez, whoever else is going to be another backup fielder. I think that's his role. I really hope the Yankees don't make the mistake of starting Carpenter in the playoffs. I think he's a pinch hitter and at bats when you need a guy that can maybe draw a walk.
yeah, I don't see I don't see a reason in starting him over Cabrera, and the one sense is defense, right? Like even if Carpenter's bat is going to be better than Cabrera's, which could be important postseason, the big things the postseason to me are pitching and defense, and then you have to score the timely runs. It's not about just scoring runs in general. Normally, the teams that are successful in the postseason can drive runners in when they're in scoring position and can score with 2 outs. Those are the teams that normally go far in the postseason. Doesn't matter at that point. It doesn't matter who's playing. Obviously, a guy might have a better bat, but especially coming off an injury, plus with Cabrera, you're getting that like much better defense. And you can always pinch hit for him in those situations. So you also have that too. But looking at the Yankees bench, I think Marwin Gonzalez might be super valuable to them. Because like he can play everywhere. If you need to use Locastro as a pinch runner for Josh Donaldson, let's say, you can put Marwin Gonzalez at third, or I don't know, maybe LeMahieu's. I don't know, but you can put Donaldson there. I don't know, but just hypothetically, you can put Marwin anywhere, right? So that just brings versatility. Whether it's a back, it'll be on the bench, but maybe he's pretty much the backup for every position. Because is Matt Carpenter going to play the field? Probably not. You have Lo Castro, like, yeah, he can play the outfield, but he realistically is just your pinch runner, so you're going to want to keep him on the bench until you need him to run. And then you have your backup catcher in Higashioka, and then I think that's all your bench spots. I think that's your 4 bench spots right there, with Martin Gonzalez being that last one.
Exactly. But there's a lot of versatility on that bench, which I like. And
Yeah,
that's what they first time they've really kind of had that going into the postseason in a while.
yeah, and Cabrera can slide into the infield if needed. There is that as well. But it's like having someone like a Martin Gonzalez, as much as I know you don't like Martin Gonzalez because the whole Astros thing. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at your roster, if you can have a guy like a Martin Gonzalez on your bench who can play everywhere, can still be solid during the regular seasons, it's important to have a guy, I think, versatility wise, but especially in the postseason, a guy on your bench who you need a pinch run for someone. You have confidence because you know you can put Martin Gonzalez at whatever position you need to fill in that defensive gap that you just by pinch running for someone. I think that's super important to have, and it's never as valuable in the regular season as it is in the postseason.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't really like you said, I don't really like Marwin Gonzalez, but he has done his job this season. I have to give credit where credit is due. He's done a pretty good job. And if he could come through and make some clutch plays or contribute something into a World Series run, then yeah, he could sort of win me over.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, though, it comes down to the versatility. That's why the Red Sox brought him in last year and tried to make it work with him. That's why the Yankees brought him in this year. It's that versatility to have off the bench of, you know, if for whatever reason, they need a pinch hit for Harrison Bader, and okay, you got to put someone in the outfield. You're not gonna put Marwin in center, but you can always slide Judge to center and put Marwin in right, or put Cabrera in right and Marwin left. Like you can do that because you're gonna want to save Lo Castro on your bench. You can put Marwin at first, at second, at third, at short. Especially if you need a pinch hit for Isaiah Kiner Falefa, who else is gonna play short? It's probably gonna be Marwin unless they want to try and slide Glaber over to short, which I don't see happening at all. So just having that versatility is going to be huge for them off the bench. It'll open up their options when it comes to pinch hitting, pinch run. You won't need a pinch run for a guy like Isaiah Kiner Falefa, but you might want to pinch hit for him. You might need to not need to. You might want to pinch run for a Donaldson or a LeMahieu, or you might want to pinch hit for Cabrera or Bader. Now you kind of those options open up because you can just go, okay, well defensively we're not gonna have to worry because we have a guy that we can just plug and play everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like you said, and then there's that guy like Cabrera who can also move around the field, so you can make it work. However, you're going to pinch run, however you're going to play, you got multiple pieces that can play around. And LeMahieu, another guy that can kind of play around a couple of different positions. So the Yankees have that versatility, and I really like that. I think that's a plus going into the season. I don't know, do the Astros have that versatility on coming off of their
Aledmys
bench?
Diaz. Aledmys Diaz.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they have a little bit, but it's like I think that you see a lot of good postseason teams that go deep. They have a guy on their team that's versatile. Like I don't know if the Braves had necessarily had one last year, but I know the Dodgers had Kike when they won in 2020, 2019. I don't remember that Nationals roster good enough at all. 2018, the Red Sox had Brock Holt. 2017, the Astros had Marwin Gonzalez. Um, 2016, that Cubs team had Ben Zobrist. So you kind of common theme guys who are versatile who can play multiple positions. It does help a lot in the postseason.
And slap contact hitters that can get on base too. Like every single one of those guys played really well and got on base in the postseason. Like they did play their role, moved around the field, but also still managed to get on base when you needed them.
Yep. Yeah, and I think too that's like a big thing Isaiah Kiner Falefa. I know Yankees fans at times this year have given him some crap, but he's done like I think I said it last time. He's done it last Yankee show. He's done exactly what the Yankees wanted him to do: play good defense, be able to run a little bit on the bases, and just be a guy at the plate who can put the ball in play when you need him to, and not strike out a lot. I think he's done a great job of that, just doing his job. Doesn't have to do too much, but he's a vital part of that Yankees team.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
It was a heck of a season. I'm so excited for the postseason to start. I hope should be excited. It's like just waiting for Christmas to come. like I said, it could be things could go bad really quick. I recognize that. Like I said, Tampa's a really good team. Cleveland's a really good team. I'd much rather the winner of that series be playing Houston. But so if the Yankees, if they're gonna get to the World Series, man, they're gonna earn it. It's gonna be a tough grind. I'm excited for it. So hopefully we just keep doing these week after week until the Yankees win the World Series, and then they announce Judge's contract extension at the victory parade.
Yeah, I think for the Yankees, the end goal, win a World Series. Anything else is falling short of your goals because your one goal as the Yankees or any kind of big team that has ambitions is win the World Series. If you don't win the World Series this season, it's not a lost season, but you missed your goal. You missed your main goal. And I think for the Yankees, yes, it's going to be a tough road. It's a tough road for any team in the playoffs. It doesn't matter who you play. All those teams are in the playoffs for a reason. Even if you play the Rays, who are the worst record in the American League, to make the playoffs, they're in the playoffs for a reason, right? You let's say somehow Yankees at the World Series and they get the Padres, who are only the fifth seed in the National League. That's still a really good team that fought their way to the World Series. Like they might not be the 111 win Dodgers, but they potentially had to beat the Dodgers to get to that point too. So I think at the end of the day, like the whole matchup thing for the Yankees, it's going to be hard regardless. Regardless who you play, there might be teams you match up better with, but it's going to be a tough road anyways. But the Yankees do have the pieces in place to be able to get it done. If they need to get the play, they have the pieces in place to get it done. Now they just have to go out there and show that they can do it.
Yeah, definitely. And that is the matchup, right? The Mets Padres winner does play the Dodgers, right?
Yes.
Yes, right. Okay. So yeah, they would have to go through one way or another. And little behind the curtain stuff today, there's a lot of debate on whether or not the Mets or Padres will win that series. I think that might be the tightest series of
Oh
the
my god.
first round.
I'm the only one in the Bleacher Brawls crew who picked the Padres, first of all. But
Okay,
like
so
that doesn't show how tight that series is.
no, it is because I actually wanted to pick the Padres, but there's something about the Mets. I'm like, I don't want to be the guy. Like, I'm going to be the Yankees fan that picks the Mets to lose right away. That's bad karma for the Yankees because that'll happen. That's the only reason why the Mets. There's something weird going on with the Mets, the Yankees, that dynamic in relationship. So I'm like, no, I have to pick the Mets to win. If I pick the Mets to lose in the first round, then that's going to hurt the Yankees in baseball karma terms somehow.
Yeah,
But no, I do think I wouldn't be
protected
surprised if the Padres win that series.
Yeah, I protected the group because now we can't get memed on social media if the Padres win, whereas all of us would have picked the Mets. So there is that. But no, it's gonna be a tough road regardless. The Yankees just gotta go and show that hey, we can do it. We can go win a World Series, and now they gotta kind of put that word into action and show that they can do it when the lights are truly the brightest. The lights don't get brighter than the postseason. That's a good place to wrap it up, though. Make sure to check out all the links in the description, the Bleacher Bros website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter. On the Bleacher Bros podcast, it will go up today when you see this video, potentially the day this video is going up on the Bleacher Bros podcast. Go check that out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. The Doug and Barnes show, where Doug Barnes and myself host a Twitter space where we cover playoff matchups, who the whole Bleacher Bros crew will think will win each one, and why. Why do we think a certain team will win each matchup in the wild card round? So we'll cover that. We cover that. That's going up tomorrow morning. So check that out after you check this video out. If you haven't checked that out yet, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. For John, my name is Derek. You've been watching Bleacher Brawls, and I'll see you next time.
Aaron Judge MVP.